Hello children, you are welcome to this segment of the program. It is mathematics time, and that means it is time to have some fun. Today in mathematics, we will continue our work on temperature. So you might want to get your pen and your paper because we're going to be doing quite a lot of calculation today. Now, as is our practice, we will begin with a review of the correction to the last homework. I'm sure some of you want to know just how well you performed in that assignment. So you were given these temperatures and you were asked to convert them from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Now you know that to begin with, you have to bring the relationship, the equation that relates Celsius to Fahrenheit. And from what we did in our last class, 1 Celsius unit is 9/5 of the Fahrenheit. But at the end of the day, you must add something, without which your answer would not be correct. What is that number? Did I hear you say 32? Then you're right, my friend. So let's see what the results of these are. If you follow the procedure we outlined, 15 Celsius will give you 59 degrees Fahrenheit. 12.5 Celsius will give you 54.5 Fahrenheit. 95 degrees Celsius will give you 203 degrees Fahrenheit. 63 degrees Celsius will give you 145.4 Fahrenheit. Finally, 860 degrees Celsius will give you 1580 Fahrenheit. Now, I would have loved to run through these steps for you, but time constraint and space constraint. So if you missed out some, then I urge you to go back and check your workings and see where you've probably gone wrong. But if you got all this, then you deserve to be celebrated and I give you a cheer. Now moving on to today's lesson. What is the objective? Well, it's just one objective. Since we were able to achieve our aim of converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, now by the end of this lesson, we should be able to convert temperatures in Fahrenheit back to Celsius. I mean, if water can change to ice, then it is possible that ice changes back to water. So let's see how that's going to pan out for us. Now, as I have said earlier, in our last lesson, we studied how to change temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So in this lesson, we will study how to change from Fahrenheit back to Celsius. And I must tell you that this step is very easy, and it is also related to the step you used in the last lesson. So there is no new formula. It's just a rearrangement of the old formula. So what we do now, if you're changing water to ice, that is one process. If you're changing ice back to water, that is the reverse process, like going back and going forth. You know, if your motor car moves forward, you're going to get back to the starting point, it has to reverse. So we'll do the same thing. To change temperatures in Fahrenheit back to Celsius, we will reverse the process. And what does it mean to reverse the process? Remember that last week we added 32. So this week we will not add 32. Guess what we're going to do? We will subtract 32 if we want to go from Fahrenheit back to Celsius. We will subtract 32. But is that the only thing we're going to do? No. Last lesson, we multiplied by 9/5 or 9/5. Today, we will just turn that fraction upside down and multiply by 5/9. So you see that the two formulas are going to be related. In our last lesson, we added 32, so here we will subtract 32. In our last lesson, we multiplied by 9/5. So this lesson, we will multiply by the opposite, which is 5/9. Now, this is the formula that links it. What is important that you must not miss out, my friend, is the fact that the first thing you do is that you subtract 32. Because in the last lesson, the last thing you did was that you added. So in this lesson, when you want to change Fahrenheit to Celsius, the first thing will be to subtract. When you now finish subtracting, whatever you get, you must remember to multiply it by 5 all over 9. I'll take that again. When you are going from Fahrenheit back to Celsius, the first thing you must do is that you must subtract 32. Then you must remember to multiply by not 9 over 5 this time, but 5 all over 9. When you're able to relate these two together, then you will have no problem, my friend. Now, so let's look at the application of this formula in some real examples. The first example says, convert 122 degrees in Fahrenheit back to Celsius. Now, you know that 122 degrees Fahrenheit is not the same as 122 degrees Celsius. So we'll just apply the formula that links Fahrenheit back to Celsius. So let's see how that is going to work out for us. The first thing that we need to do is to write the equation or the formula that connects Fahrenheit to Celsius, and it's going to come up right about now. 1 unit of the Fahrenheit is the same thing as 1 unit of the Celsius, but I have to subtract 32 from that first. And when I'm done, I will multiply by 5 all over 9. Now I want to change 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm just going to multiply both sides by 122, much like we did in our last lesson. But I will not waste your time. I've done the multiplication already. So 122 degrees Fahrenheit here, and I will have 122 degrees Celsius here. But I have to subtract 32. And when I get the answer, I multiply by 5 all over 9. So let's see how that works out. On this side, we can't do anything here. 122 degrees Fahrenheit is what we want to convert. Our work is on the right side. Now let's resolve this. I'll remove this bracket so that it doesn't get in the way. I'm going to rewrite all this on the next line. 122 degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 90 degrees Celsius times 5 over 9. Now I observe that 9 can divide both. So 9 goes here 1, 9 goes here 10. Now that I have 10 here and I have 5 here, I just multiply 10 times 5, 10 degrees Celsius times 5, and I end up with 50 degrees Celsius. So that tells me that 122 degrees Fahrenheit is the same as 50 degrees Celsius. But just to be sure, I'm going to check this diagram and see if I can find 50 degrees Celsius there. Here it is, 50 degrees Celsius, and right on the other side, you see 122 degrees under the Fahrenheit scale, telling me that we have done this the correct way. Let's take a look at another example using the same formula. This example says, convert 77 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. So let's go. We're going to write the equation that connects Fahrenheit and Celsius. And that is 1 unit of Fahrenheit is the same thing as 1 unit of Celsius. So remove 32 from that. And when you're done, multiply by 5 all over 9. Since I want to change 77 degrees Fahrenheit, I will write 77 degrees Fahrenheit here. Then this Celsius, I will change it to 77 degrees Celsius as well. Then I will now subtract 32 before multiplying by 5 over 9. So 77 minus 32 will give me 45 degrees Celsius. And I will multiply by 5 all over 9. Now, we'll remove the brackets so that it will be easy for us to multiply. Now, 9 can go in 45 5 times. 9 goes here 1, 9 goes here 5. Now that I have 5 times 5, I will just multiply, and I have 77 degrees Fahrenheit gives me 25 degrees Celsius. This is the final answer, my friend. Now we'll just take one more, just to clear out all the gray areas that you may have. We'll convert 95 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let's see how that's going to work out. Again, we will begin by writing the formula that connects Fahrenheit to Celsius. And that formula again is 1 unit of Fahrenheit is same thing as 1 unit of Celsius, subtract 32, then afterwards multiply by 5 all over 9. So let's see, since I want to change 95 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll just write 95 degrees Fahrenheit here and 95 degrees Celsius here. But I will subtract 32 so that because they are not, 95 degrees Fahrenheit is not equal to 95 degrees Celsius until I subtract 32 and multiply by 5 over 9. So now subtracting 32 from here, I have 63 degrees Celsius. Now I'm ready to multiply by 5/9. Now, removing the bracket, it is easy for me to just divide. Now I see that 9 can go in 63 7 times, because 9 times 7 is 63. Now, having resolved that, I'm left with 7 degrees Celsius times 5. So 7 degrees Celsius times 5, 7 times 5 is 35 degrees Celsius. So I've gotten a number here, I've gotten a number here. This is my final answer. 95 degrees Celsius that I am asked to convert is the same as 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So my friend, this is the formula applied to about 3 problems for you, and I'm sure that by now you are ready to test your hands on a problem of your own. So I'm going to give you this one to try out your hands. I'll give you 1 minute 30 seconds. Begin. Alrighty then, eyes on me. I believe you're done by now. I will just walk you through the process and we'll arrive at the answer together. Let's go. We will begin by writing the equation that connects Fahrenheit to Celsius. And that is 1 unit of Fahrenheit is the same thing as 1 unit of Celsius minus 32. When we get the answer to that, we will now multiply by 5/9. Now, since I want to change 68 degrees Fahrenheit, I will just write 68 degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 68 degrees Celsius, remove 32, and that's minus 32, afterwards multiply by 5/9. So this is easy for me to quickly resolve. 68 degrees Celsius minus 32 is 36 degrees Celsius. I'm only having 5/9 left that I'm just going to use to multiply. So I will remove the brackets so that my multiplication will be easy for me. Now, how many 9 goes in 36? I'm sure you've gotten that while you were doing yours. I get 4. Now, 4 times 5, or 4 degrees Celsius times 5, gives me 20 degrees Celsius. So I've gotten a number here, my friend, which means that 68 degrees Fahrenheit is 20 degrees Celsius. I'm sure that is what you got. If you did not, go back, retrace your steps and compare it with mine and check where you have made an error. If you got this right, then I celebrate you with a chair. Now, the summary of all that we have learned this week is as follows. We have learned about temperature, that it is the amount of heat in any object. And everybody has temperature. It doesn't matter whether they feel hot or they feel cold. That coldness is also temperature. Now, the higher the temperature is, the higher the number is. The lower the temperature is, the lower the number is. When the temperature is high, then the person is hot or the body is hot. When the temperature is low, then the person is cold or the body is cold. We've learned that the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. We have also learned that water becomes ice block at 0 degrees Celsius. We have learned that the temperature of the normal room is 20 degrees Celsius. We have also learned that the temperature of the human body is 37 degrees Celsius. Now, we have also learned that temperature is measured using a thermometer and that there are different types. we have seen that the unit of measuring temperature are Celsius and the Fahrenheit. I also talked about the Kelvin, but you will do that when you get to your secondary school. Now, Celsius and Fahrenheit can be converted from one to the other. We can convert Celsius to Fahrenheit by multiplying that Fahrenheit by 9/5 and then adding 32. We can convert Fahrenheit to Celsius by multiplying that Celsius, subtracting 32 from it rather, before multiplying by 5/9. Now this is the reverse of this. This is what we used in our second lesson, and this is what we use today. I'm believing now that some of you have gotten this right, but a lot of you will probably still find this confusing. Okay, when do I use 5/9? Okay, when do I use 9/5? Okay, when do I subtract 32? Okay, when do I add 32? No problem. You don't need to worry. All you need to do is sing. And that's why I've put together this formula for you in a nice little song, which you can sing in your leisure time and use it to remember which formula to use for which. So the tone for the song goes like this. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ra 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 ra. Ra 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 ra. So we go Celsius to Fahrenheit, scale up by 9/5, add 32 to it. That's all there is to it. Celsius to Fahrenheit, scale up by 9/5, add 32 to it. That's all there is to it. Now we'll come to this one. Fahrenheit back to Celsius, shed off the 32, then you need to scale it down with 5/9. I'll take it again. Fahrenheit back to Celsius, shed off the 32, then you need to scale it down with 5/9. So when you put this in the head and you put this in the head, you will have no problem. So let's just take it one last time. Celsius to Fahrenheit, scale up by 9/5, add 32 to it. That's all there is to it. Fahrenheit back to Celsius, shed off the 32, then you need to scale it down with 5/9. I believe you got that, and I want you to keep practicing that song in your leisure time. Now I've got homework for you. You are to copy this and convert them to Fahrenheit, convert these temperatures in Fahrenheit back to Celsius in your leisure time. We have come to the end of the lesson for today. I will now hand you over to Uncle Popo for the general studies lesson. Till I come your way in the next class, keep singing, keep practicing.